All right, let's move on to Kamala's campaign imploding. Did you guys notice Kamala did a CNN town hall last night? Actually, you didn't even know about this when I came in this morning, Jesse, right? She did a town hall with Anderson Cooper. And she was asked a question. This is what I love about El Presidente, Dave Portnoy.
Yeah.
He's not that political, right? He's kind of anti-political, but
It should be
got to now.
Calling out these clowns when they do clownish things, right?
Right.
Without fear or favor. Yeah.
That's it. That is him. And his dad is apparently anti-Trump. Do you know who El Presidente is? You're not going to get any of my sports references, are you?
I'm not.
I just knew that, Lisa. You give me a look.
I'm not into sports. I'm sorry.
At all?
No, only when my kids were in taekwondo. Then I was into taekwondo sport.
Isn't that an art?
Okay, maybe it is. I don't know.
Do you ever watch any football games?
No, not really.
That's why you opened up a wine bistro.
Yeah.
Because most of us just open bars, right? You opened a wine bistro. There's no sports at that.
There were no
point.
sports television, no TVs,
God.
no monitors, no nothing. Yeah.
How do we get along so well, Lisa?
I don't know.
We have nothing alike.
Well, there's a couple things.
Except for hating tyranny, right?
Yeah.
And Harley Davidson too, right?
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so this is a CNN town hall. Anderson Cooper asked, I don't know, a simple, basic question. Most people should be able to answer this question.
Standard interview question. This is a standard interview question.
Standard interview.
She was probably asked this when she interviewed at McDonald's. This exact question.
By the way, I looked up ChatGPT. Did Kamala Harris work at McDonald's? And ChatGPT says, yes, she did. And then it just references her saying she did. Yeah. And I was like, is there any proof on it? And I can't remember what the response was. I'm like, oh, wow. So as long as a politician says so, AI will say it's true. Oh wow. This is going to be really interesting.
It is.
I have no idea, by the way, if that's true or not. But you can't fault Trump for going at her on that one. That's
she would have brought the receipts if it was true. She would have had a picture. She would have had something. She would have had a name tag. She would have had something if it was real.
But hold on. I worked at Festival Foods when I was 15.
But did you work at McDonald's?
Oh, because the prestige of McDonald's? Is that what your point is?
I don't know. I worked at McDonald's. Neil, did you work at McDonald's?
I did not, no.
Lisa, you're younger than Kamala, but you're not that much younger, right? You're 50, so she's 60, so you're 10 years younger than her, right? 49, sorry. 49? Okay.
Sure.
50?
How about I think, how old is she?
She's 60. She just turned 60.
We're the same age.
Can't be. I had you placed at 50. All right, Lisa, I'll take your fake news for a second.
He just wants me to come back on the show again sometime.
There you go. All right, so you're the same age as Kamala. When did you work at McDonald's?
I was, I think it was my first job. After I worked at my parents' retail store, it was my first real job. So I would have been 14, I believe.
Okay, so
no, they weren't. They wouldn't let you hire. They wouldn't let you work at 14.
15 with a parent note.
Maybe this was Arkansas, so it was maybe 15, 14, 15.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Prove it. Could you?
Do you have any memorabilia or anything you kept from then?
You should see the way I flip a burger.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. So I worked at Dairy Queen for a year when I was it was my job after it was the job before my great job of working at Gander Mountain in the archery department and camping. God, that was a fun job. Made no money, spent it all at Gander Mountain. They don't even exist anymore. Gander Mountain's an old school. You probably don't even know what that is, do you?
No.
Yeah, they don't exist anymore?
No, they basically went bust and then they got bought by Camper World. That's why all those old Gander Mountains now have the ginormous American flag and RVs all over.
Okay, gotcha.
So I could still make the cone.
You can still make the swirl on the top,
I can make
right?
the swirl. If you put me up next to soft serve, I will do that instinctively.
There you go.
And if you give me a Blizzard, I want to go like this with it.
I mean, who really cares whether she worked at McDonald's or not? But don't lie about it.
Well, hold on. So this is a breaking story. I didn't know. I had you on the show.
Rumble rant real quick. Phil Candid says it would be easy to confirm if she worked at McDonald's. Just ask her manager, Willie Brown. Willie Brown might be the guy to ask. He would be able to confirm it or not.
So that happened at a McDonald's then? Sanitary issues there.
You don't toss a lot of salads at McDonald's.
Well, they didn't have the salads at McDonald's back then.
Yeah, no.
All right, so Lisa, could you prove it?
We did fry our fries in tallow.
Oh, they were so good back then.
I know.
I think you're dodging the question here. You're very relevant here. You're the same age as Kamala. You worked at McDonald's allegedly at the same time. we just said, will she bring the receipts? Can you bring a receipt?
I don't.
No picture, a uniform, anything.
Let me be clear.
Did you come from a middle-class family? A middle-income class family? That's what you...
I absolutely... Let me be clear.
Oh, you're clear.
I wish I could...
You got to be more nasally, too.
I know. I need to work on the... I need to work on the,
all right,
the thing, but...
we'll work on the Kamala impression. We got our Trump impression.
I don't know. How do you prove something like that?
I think you could, well, like you said, like, okay, well, tell me something about the process of doing it, right? How long do the fries sit in the fryer? How long does this and that? Tell me something that only an employee would know.
Sure.
And
you
so
should be able to
no
rattle
one
that
asked
off right away,
that
right?
question? Or
Yeah,
what?
Phil Cannon says she would have gotten a W-2, so maybe her taxes
but
could
hold on.
From
But
way back
she's
then,
15. Like, I don't have mine when I worked. You know what
No,
I'm
she
saying?
wasn't 15. That's not what she says.
Oh, I
I
thought
think
she
she
worked
says
there.
she was 17 or 18. So
I mean, same difference. You're still under your parents' taxes. Like, I don't remember.
Something about the process. I mean, I worked at Radio Shack in college. I could tell you what it's like to work at Radio Shack.
Oh, you just dated yourself there, Neil.
Yep.
Let's go over the Radio
Didn't
Shack.
do well after me. But yeah, there's something about it, right? You could say something about that job that would clearly indicate that you were there and did it. Something that no one from the outside would have knowledge about.
Okay. And but, of course, no one in the media is asking her that question.
No.
Okay, but you wouldn't have any uniform. I actually might still have my parents' house, but I'm 42. I'm not her age.
You're not old like me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
60 years old.
Well, that's
Yeah,
not that
no, I
bad.
don't know.
You know,
I might
60 is the
have
new 40, by the way.
Oh, good to hear.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. Okay. So that is somewhat problematic in order to prove it. Doesn't matter. Trump did a great stunt. Everyone understands it. Did you guys know that was staged? By the way.
What?
Oh my God! It was staged. Those weren't real customers. He didn't really get hired by McDonald's.
well, it's not that they weren't real customers. I mean, those were real customers.
No, they weren't
getting
because
real
apparently he
food.
paid for everybody.
But they're getting real food,
Yeah, well, that's true,
They
but they're not
ordered the
customer.
food, It's not like they're just getting handed random food. I think they ordered that. They selected the food
They had to
wanted.
vet the people to make sure they weren't going to, try to
Assassinate
shoot him
Trump.
again.
Yeah, in the drive-through, right?
Yeah. Why? That wouldn't happen, would it?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the CNN town hall with Anderson Cooper. Yes, sir. Very simple question. What mistakes have you made that you can talk about? Go ahead and play this real quick. This is interesting
there
stuff.
something you can point to in your life, political life or in your life in the last 4 years, that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes.
Name one.
No
Just
kidding.
They range from, if you've ever parented a child, you make lots of mistakes.
No one's
too.
laughing.
In my
Okay,
role
in that range,
as
what's
vice
one?
president, I mean, I've probably worked
Go ahead.
very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
Is there some...
Okay,
So there's no mistake you
but
made.
she has no kids, right?
So that was the other thing that got me. Because
I'm pretty sure she has no kids.
she
has
has
stepkids.
not.
Does she? have
Yeah,
kids?
step-
Okay,
But
okay.
when?
Yeah,
When did she step in?
well,
That's my question.
Right. I don't know, but whenever she married Doug Imhoff, which that might have been 2016 or something like that. But yeah, it's his kids from a previous
Okay,
marriage.
Wait, so when did Doug sleep with his nanny? Let's look that
Yeah.
up, and then we'll find out when
Last
they ended
or
up.
first?
Was it last year? Kamala Harris. I'm kind of curious because I know where your head's going. As a parent, young kids, you and I, Neil, kind of seems like there's some stolen valor there, right? So she married Doug in 2014, and they have two. So she's got the two stepchildren. One is that. Well, I'll leave the kids out of it.
Yeah, I mean, you
So
can
the
make
kid
a
would have been-
parental mistake
okay.
at any age, and
So
stepkids are not, but that
14,
doesn't matter.
15 at the time.
That counts. But it's just such a terrible non-answer, right? So if a potential employee gave me that answer, I'd be like, "This is wild." I mean, there's a variety of ways to answer it. As a political candidate, you could just say, once I wore black shoes with a round belt, right? I mean, you could turn it into a joke.
Wait, what's
There's
wrong
any
with that?
number of charming ways to answer that question, or you can legitimately answer the question.
Yeah. The Afghanistan
because she's done all these pivots now on her previous totally insane voting record, and then also what she did when she was in office. And so she could say, "Yep, I made a mistake originally not prioritizing a legal path to citizenship or closing our border." Right? There's any number of ways that someone that's run even at a state house level should be able to answer. Anyone who's done basic politics should be able to answer this question. And the fact that she can't string together a joke, an honest reply, any explanation of her pivot shows you just how vacuous she is. I mean, there's just...
For an anticipated question, like you said, too, this is an easy question to expect.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought up pivot because that's our next clip. Anderson Cooper asked a question, quite frankly, she should be asked all the time and was asked multiple times on the Fox News interview. Your views on the border. Why haven't you fixed these issues? And by the way, what's your view on the border wall? Let's go ahead and play this clip. This is the B2, Dawson.
Under Donald Trump, you criticized the wall more than 50 times. You called it stupid, useless, and a medieval vanity project. Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't. How much of that wall did he build? I think the last number I saw was about 2%. And then when it came time for him to do a photo op, you know where he did it? In the part of the wall that President Obama built.
But you're agreeing to a bill that would earmark $650 million to continue building that wall.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border. Yes, I am. And I'm going to work across the aisle to pass a comprehensive bill that deals with a broken immigration system. I think Jackson's question, part of it was to acknowledge that America has always had migration, but there needs to be a legal process for it. People have to earn it.
Right.
And that's the point that I think is the most important point that can be made, which is we need a president who is grounded in common sense and practical outcomes. Like, let's just fix this thing. Let's just fix it. Why is there any ideological perspective on it? Let's just fix the problem.
Who's in charge right now?
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I'm not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything. I just talked about that wall, right? We just talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
I want to strengthen our border.
I mean, like, look, good for
Man, wait,
good.
can I just? Where's the vomit bucket, please?
Anderson Cooper.
Good for the last remaining Vanderbilt to at least ask her the question a couple times, right? I mean, for her, that's about as hard of a question as she's going to get, and you can see her fold, right? Being president is not an easy job. If you can't even handle that basic of a question, and if you're so unskilled that you don't even know how to dodge that question, ask that question to any senator. They're going to dodge all over the place, right? They'll give you an answer that's consistent with a politician that at least knows how to be a politician. She doesn't even understand how to be a politician, much less president, much less someone who's actually going to be a statesman and lead this country.
Right, because it's so inconsistent. She's saying, we don't need ideological perspective. She was the one who was, he quoted all the ideological perspective by her, where she calls it, a vanity project, that it's medieval, that it's evil and whatnot. Yeah. And, she talks about how Trump did nothing on the border, he got the Mexican military to guard the border, and he did that by saying, if you guys don't do this, I'm cutting off all your aid, which is a huge thing, that if you don't, which I would have been fine with us cutting off the aid as well. So that would have worked out just fine. And then, he says that the way he was getting the border wall paid for was through the U.S. Mexico-Canada trade agreement, which was, a massive improvement from NAFTA, which, only was going to happen because of a populist like Trump trying to renegotiate that trade deal. So was it directly, it just shows the Democrats never cared about the border to begin with. Even if Mexico did pay for it, they were still going to be against it then. It's only now, after borders are, Kamala Harris realizes that it's a major issue to people, that she's changing her perspective, a total 180.
I think that they got too comfortable. Sorry, I can't switch to me. I think they got too comfortable with her not being Trump as being enough to run on. That is the most.
Well, that's all she's got. That's all she's got now, right? She may legitimately lose the Hispanic vote outright. Like, literally 50+1 may go Trump, which is wild, but not wild when you consider that those folks, came here legally. They're Americans. Their jobs are at risk. from illegal immigration, and they want someone who's going to help them protect their incomes and their livelihoods and rein in crime and any of the variety of things that happen when you have, Chinese special ops running across the southern border, you have Venezuelan gang members running across the southern border. It's wild. You're not a country if you don't have a border. You know what happens in Switzerland if you walk across without a permit? They walk you back at gunpoint, like, get out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a country. That's what defines a country, is that we have borders that we enforce. Now, obviously, everyone wants some degree of immigration, but who is coming in what numbers, for what jobs, for what need are they fulfilling? That can't happen if you have no vetting. And again, it's Chinese nationals, Indian nationals, people from the Middle East. Like, it's not single moms carrying their kids on their back looking for a job in a sweatshop. Okay, that's what the Democrats always make it out to be. And I'm granted there's some of those folks coming across, but she has, subsequent to this interview, said that she wants a pathway to citizenship for every illegal immigrant. That's wild. And that is not something that's going to win her an election. That's not something that's going to win any Democrat an election. So you've now see this break. So clearly on policy she's lost. And now it's just attack Trump. Trump's a Nazi, right? But even even people that are Democrats running for what shouldn't have been competitive seats now becoming competitive seats are like, no, like, I don't like Trump, but I like his policies. Like, when you have that kind of schism for Democrats in that party, I think your campaign's over.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah, I think so too.
Rant.
Yeah, we got a $50 Rumble rant. Phil Can says, "Damn it, Neil! If I don't see you announced for governor by January, I'll make the announcement for you. Hashtag save soda. Hashtag we need Neil." So, Neil,
what does that make you? How does that make you feel when somebody by the name failed candidate tells you that?
I mean, I can't be typing my own texts right now as I would be giving myself a Rumble rant. No, I mean, it's certainly very complimentary. I've heard some really nice things post convention, and and I think if you had to do over again, maybe people would make a different decision. It's unclear if in 22 Minnesota's ready for a constitutional conservative to win.
Well, obviously, this. I'm your biggest fan. I've always told you if you run again, I would do whatever I can to help you out. We chatted all the time when you were running. Obviously, you hired some pretty good young guys, Fletcher
great team.
And Bridget. Bridget worked on your campaign.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. It's just like, you are a young guy growing a business, had your fourth child on the way. Your fourth child was born a week before the endorsing convention.
Yeah, little D was at the convention getting passed around. I think we changed the dirty diaper. Like, everyone just huddled around and then just changed it right on the floor because Sarah couldn't miss a vote. She was a delegate.
Yep.
So,
and honest to God, it's like, it was a bad time. I remember you being like, I can only give 10 hours, and I can only give 5 hours a week.
Brutal.
It's
brutal.
Meanwhile, Mike Murphy and Scott Jensen literally campaigned full time. They'd travel the state of Minnesota, meeting every delegate, which is a cool part of the system. But yeah, it was
sometimes
tough.
sometimes it's the right idea at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And the more I think in retrospect about it, I think it was a lot of that. The state wasn't ready. People weren't ready.
They weren't ready.
Now, if you look at what the Republican Party has become, it's JFK's Democrat Party. Pro-worker, pro-small business, anti-war, pro-peace, pro-limited government, pro-constitution, pro-constitutional rights. It's wild to think that in the span of 20 years, we went from a Republican Party that was silk-stocking, pro-war, George Bush,
Dick Cheney,
kill people in other countries, Dick Cheney. Right now, Dick Cheney is stumping for a Democrat.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're accepting it too, which is crazy.
I think everyday Americans who built this country and who will build this country into the future have gone to the Republican Party. It's our job to keep them there and keep putting candidates forward at every level. And if you have, I think that the real battle in Minnesota is the House and the Senate. And then the statewide candidates are kind of the outcome of winning that battle at the grassroots level. I mean, Iowa, I think, is one of the best states in the nation, and it's because the activists took over the party, they took over the state house, the state senate, and they took a not terribly strong conservative as their governor and made her sign the right bills into law because they were going to get passed anyways if she signed on to them or not.
Yeah.
And she looks great, she gets to take credit, whatever. But that state has come so far, and it's a labor blue state, big ag business. Minnesota, I think, has a lot more resources. We're different than Iowa. I think we're better. But if they could do it, I think that's the template for the way Minnesota can go. So maybe at some point in the future, the table's set, and we're in a position where we consistently have the House. we variably have the Senate or vice versa, and then you can start to get some of these statewide wins.
Well, and Florida's the same way. I mean, it
Yep.
was 20 points by DeSantis, and Florida went Obama in 2012. So things do shift and change, and I agree. I mean,
Iowa when Obama.
well, yeah, he was talking.
2008.
Yeah, that's right. Iowa's going. Yeah, so it's just like it can change, and I think, well, I've made this pitch many times. Maybe it's not the right time for you, but if there comes a time, we need you.
There'll be a time. We're not going anywhere.
Well, okay. Win. Okay. I agree with Phil Canada. All right, love it. Now, this is where we get past the joking and fun loving stuff, and we go to what I think is actually quite serious. This is, well, first of all, let's go to the RCP average today, where it shows the battleground states. Remember, elections are decided by the Electoral College, and of that, there's really 6, 7 battleground states. For now, that's a good point. Zoom in a little bit there, Dawson. So right now, as it stands, Trump is leading. Now, this is all within the margin of error. We keep saying this every week, and take polls for what they're worth. The point is, it's the momentum. Yes, he's up by 1.5 in Arizona. He's up by 2.2 in Georgia. Georgia looks like a lost cause for the Democrats, which is great. I still believe it comes down to Pennsylvania. If Trump doesn't win Pennsylvania, assuming he wins North Carolina, he picks up Michigan, right? Let's say he picks up Michigan. He wins Nevada, which is going his direction. These are good. On 538, which another credible, now they use modeling. RCP is more just taking a bunch of the polls that are out there and averaging them. 538 as a model. 538 now has an even odds. Just go down to that chart. That's what's important. The line graph here. And line graph, you can see Trump has surged. So he was beating Joe Biden by quite a bit. It was going to be like that. It was going to be a slaughter because basically the vote of the left got suppressed. They did not like Joe Biden. And then Kamala gets in, and that explains the fundraising. I mean, they still are out fundraising Republicans, right? Because they have some excitement. They got a candidate that actually can, well, I guess sort of talk. I guess you really can't put together a sentence. The standards are very low on that side, let's put it that way. But you can see now Trump is starting to pull away, and he really is winning a lot of the undecideds, and that's a very small amount of people. And I think the base on the right is just equally, if maybe even more excited about their candidate than the left. And I think right now when you look at what's going on with Kamala, we made this prediction on the show. We were almost not certain about it after a month, but we're like, she can't get away with not doing interviews because there's just too many hungry journalists that want it, right? This is on the resume, Brett Baer. Actually, I watched Brett Baer talking to Hannity, and he's like, I was so grateful to get the interview. Yes, because they all get to say they interviewed one of the major candidates and possibly the President of the United States. That's a resume builder, right? So there's too many journalists out there that are hungry for a story. So how could she literally just not talk to him? And that was Kamala's problem, is because she's damned if she does and damned if she doesn't.
So a lot of her base, right? So there's 40% of this country that no matter what. Remember when Trump said, I could shoot someone in Fifth Avenue and you'll still vote for me, right? So it's the converse of that. She can do nothing, and 40% of the electorate will 100% vote for her, no matter what she does, no matter what she says. Okay, but independents are a growing pool, and many independents, in at least the polls and the studies of them that I've read, are just shy conservatives. They don't want the stigma and the label that comes with saying I'm a conservative or I'm a Republican, but they hold all the same values and they will vote in that direction. So the shy voter is a huge problem. Sampling bias, selection bias is a huge problem for all these polls, and they're all trying to use modeling in a variety of ways to overcome it. Purchasing patterns, buying public data to try to understand who these people are, build an avatar of who this voter is. But I think generally Democrat voters will tell you who they are honestly and can be believed in a poll. But I don't think that conservatives or independents follow that same thing.
Well, certainly
So
Trump
they'll always
supporters.
underpoll. So when you get into polls where you start to see people actually saying, I'll vote Trump. I mean, the number of Trump signs that I see in neighborhoods where I never saw them before in Minnesota is wild. People are like, they're done. They're like, I don't care what you think of me. I'm going to put the sign in my yard. And that gets you all kinds of blowback from, it's right next to a wall sign. It's right next to whatever. Your neighbors know where you're at. But people are kind of like, you know what, I'm done. I'm out of the closet. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a conservative. I'm a Republican, whatever, however you want to phrase it. I think Americans are kind of done with it. So that's really got to be the scary thing for the Democrats, is that if you look at like things like Polymarket and you look at the odds of a sweep, of a red sweep, those have shot up even faster than the Trump has, which is wild. No one, even a month ago, would have said that there was. It used to be like 10% of a Republican sweep, and now it's like mid-30s.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say it's a sure thing. I think Trump's winning. I just saw Nate Silver had said his instincts say that it's going to be Trump.
Yes. Then he said, "Don't trust your."
Don't always trust your gut, but my gut says Trump's going to win this thing, and it's the same prediction I've had for many months. Is she's eventually going to hurt herself. She's doing media. People see that. You don't do CNN if you're not trying to make appeal to undecided voters, and they're watching that. I mean, actually, the thing that I don't think gets talked about in that CNN town hall, she's trying these jokes, and she's laughing at her own jokes, and no one's laughing with her.
No, and she laughs like someone that's had like a whole bottle of Chardonnay. It's really cringe.
Yeah.
And then Trump's doing long-form
Putin
podcasts.
says it's contagious. She's got a contagious laugh, and it's going to bring joy around the world because, if she's
It's a party of
laughing,
joy.
that must mean everything is good. Everything is good in the world if Kamala is laughing. So, that's why Putin endorsed her.
That's true, right? That's an endorsement she's probably not happy about. So Trump's doing long-form podcasts, right, which are the most dangerous thing.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a politician, right? You
He's
say
risking
one
it with
thing-
Joe Rogan tomorrow, isn't he?
Rogan, I mean, how do you handicap that? You think Joe's going to go at him hard? You think Joe's going to want to just be curious about what he does? Or they end up just talking about non-related stuff, right?
Well, then Joe's going to ask him about aliens. He's going to ask him about
I want to hear
JFK
Trump on
files.
aliens. I think that's
I know,
great.
but I want it after election so he could be just real.
But this humanizes him. I mean,
I know, but there's too many consequences. This isn't going to be the interview that I want. Plus, I want it after the election so he can have Alex Jones on at the same time. You can't tell me that's not the best political entertainment. Rogan, Alex Jones, and
Throw Tucker in there.
well,
Just three of them.
Oh no, Tucker might ruin it. Shane Gillis might be good. Yeah, Tucker's kind of corny. He's good. Good interviewer, but he's corny. He's like quirky. But Alex Jones. Let's see, Alex Jones will steal a show. That one actually might not go well. Having Alex Jones and Trump, you got two guys that
Trump
are
has been on InfoWars before.
Yeah, but that's
and Alex
one-on-one.
Jones. Yeah, but Alex Jones was, he was letting Trump talk. He understood how to handle the situation.
Oh, fair.
I think it's gonna water Alex Jones down if you get Trump and him on the same
He
platform.
probably wouldn't drink as much.
You won't get peak Trump or peak Alex Jones.
All right, let's add Elon Musk into that equation then. That would be a good. That would be good. Give us the podcast we want, damn it, and do it on Kill Tony. That would be perfect. All right, so let's get into some serious stuff. This is Kamala Harris. So we're hearing about these October surprises. Apparently, one of the October surprises, certainly planned, former chief of staff for Donald Trump. By the way, it's very obvious the deep state was really circling around Donald Trump and forced themselves into his administration early on. Trump's even admitted that has been one of the biggest mistakes that he made in his first. Oh my God, he can admit a mistake. Kamala can't, but he can. So that he let too many of these people in, and one of those being John Kelly, former general, former chief of staff, saying that Trump literally wanted, Hitler's generals, that type of people, like generals that are loyal, like they were for Hitler. I can't remember what the comment is, but essentially Trump's a Nazi. Go ahead and play this. This is Kamala, and there are no questions, no answers in Q&A press conference the other day.
So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired four-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him. He wants a military who will be loyal to him personally, one that will obey his orders even when he tells them to break the law or abandon their oath to the Constitution of the United States. In just the past week, Donald Trump has repeatedly called his fellow Americans the enemy from within, and even said that he would use the United States military to go after American citizens. And let's be clear about who he considers to be the enemy from within. Anyone who refuses to bend a knee or dares to criticize him would qualify, in his mind, as the enemy within. Like judges, like journalists, like nonpartisan election officials. It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of Americans. All of
Okay,
this
let's
is
stop right there. I
further
think you get the
evidence.
point here. Now, I am some wacko crazy person, and I listen to that and I go, yeah, we need to kill this guy. I mean, is she just not, is she willing to just admit what she wants at this point?
No, the thing with people like this is they tell you what they're doing and they project it onto somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So right, you were in the military. What happened to the Flag Officer Corps after Obama took over?
Oh, it was very politicized.
It got gutted, right? It got rid of men and women who were willing to defend the Constitution and die for that, and got replaced by people who were willing to toe the corporate line. Okay.
He, hims.
Yeah, he, hims. The DOD just came out with a set of regulations that now, it's violation of posse comitatus, allows them to assist local law enforcement. That's totally illegal.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. You can't use military unless it's the Guard, and then they're going through the governor, and they're assisting law enforcement capabilities that way. But now they're allowed to use lethal force against Americans. Whose watch did that happen on? Hers. So they tell you what they're going to do, and then they just project it onto you. I think no one has done more to weaken our military than successive Democrat, so starting with Obama administrations. No one has politicized the military more than those. No one has weakened our ability to project force internationally than those administrations. And now it seems like they're laying the groundwork to deploy it against Americans if somehow they feel like there's not a free and fair election. I mean, Jamie Raskin, right, says, like, I'm not going to certify an election.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, who's the election denier here?
Right.
It's wild. And your average voter doesn't know about any of this, but this is all true. Right? That DOD directive is true. Jamie Raskin's on tape saying these things. They've destroyed the Flag Officer Corps, and they're destroying our military. And, I worry a lot about that. I mean, it's all of these institutions, right? Our judiciary, law enforcement, the military, they were all supposed to be apolitical. They weren't supposed to care who was there. They served the Constitution. They served the ideals of America. And the minute you start to just make them a political tool, we're just like every other banana republic where the generals serve at the behest of whatever despot is in power. And that's the more concerning thing, is once you start destroying institutions, you destroy a country from the inside.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great point. I didn't even thought of that angle, because you keep hearing them talk about how he's going to weaponize the government, that he is, he's talking about the enemy within. And literally you have a comment, I forgot to play this, but we have Joe Biden literally saying we should lock him up. Did you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah,
and then he tries to walk it back.
He tries to walk it back.
He said it.
Yeah, he said it.
Yeah.
And you're literally the commander-in-chief. And, oh, by the way, they are trying to lock up him right now. They just tied.
He said lock him up politically.
Yeah. What?
Right.
What?
How do you lock someone up politically?
He said lock him up, and then he said, I meant politically.
No,
Yeah,
let's go.
right.
Dawson, go to my Twitter account. Let's make sure we get this here, because I did post this video, and it is actually pretty concerning and important that people understand this. I believe it just came out that, who is the one that Fannie Willis? Fannie? What's her name? Fannie? It's not
In
Fannie.
Georgia?
Yeah. It's not Fannie, though. It's not.
Yeah, it's
Fannie.
Fannie.
I thought it was like Fannie or something.
Fanny, like
No,
the butt.
it's Fanny.
It is
She
Fanny?
wants to
Okay.
say it's something else.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't dead name her. Fannie Willis's lover that she had hired. Apparently, didn't they prove that he was working with?
He met with the White House.
There you go.
Yeah.
Scroll down here, Dawson. We're gonna find this here real quick. Keep going down. That's that beautiful story. There's Lisa, the 50-year-old. Keep going down. Those keep going. Keep
What are
going.
we
Oh, there
looking-
you go. Hold on. One back. Go back up there. That's White Dudes for Harris.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going down. Keep going down. Should be right around here. Go. Keep going. Keep going. Where is it? Did I not? Am I blanking out here?
What
I
are
swear to
we
God, I
looking
posted
for?
this.
We're looking for Biden.
Did I not post this? I thought I posted it. Well, we just saw my whole Twitter feed. There we go. Well, okay. Essentially, he says, I mean, it's unmistakable. He says we should lock him up, and the crowd cheers. And then he tries to save face, saying lock him up politically. Like, that doesn't even make sense. So this is like bad stuff these guys are doing. They literally are trying to lock him up. There's lawfare, but then they accuse Trump of doing it. He's going to go after his political enemies. My God, what are you guys doing? Oh, okay. So then we're told, go to the B5, Dawson. We're told by journalist Mark Halperin that there is a story being pitched to a bunch of journalists. That's an October surprise that will end the Trump campaign.
Is this Newsweek?
Yeah, it's Newsweek.
Yep.
Yeah, by the way, we're old enough, guys. Jesse, you'd been too young. But where Newsweek was like a credible
It was an actual
weekly,
newspaper.
Yeah, now it's like junk news online. But anyhow, Newsweek, but they're quoting Mark Halperin, says he's been pitched a story that could end Trump's campaign. By the way, 3 paragraphs in, Mark Halperin says, but I don't believe it to be true.
Well, yeah, because I think it's getting pitched to everybody, and the fact that no one's taken it yet means
No
it's
one's
probably
taken
sketchy.
it. We believe,
Right. It sounds like CNN rejected it. It sounds like the Huffington Post rejected it. So if CNN and the Huffington Post don't see it as credible enough to go after Trump, that means it's not real.
Okay, but we believe the story at this point is from The Guardian, so The Guardian picked it up. This is reported yesterday. A woman who says, surprise, Trump groped me in what felt like a twisted game with Jeffrey Epstein, former model, alleges. Convenient. I mean, he only ran for president 2 times before and has been a public figure, and we hear about this story late October. Like, literally, who's going to believe this story, you know? Oh, that's apparently the October surprise, other than George Santos is on the beat
Santos
for
October surprise.
Oh my God.
There's been body language experts that have reviewed her videos and whatnot, and they think that she's not being honest. And there's no way to completely tell based on that, but there are some good body language experts out there that can draw good conclusions from that.
That sounds funny. But yes, body language is a very important thing to understand, and I think most of us could tell when people are lying. And first of all, how could you prove it? Like, the timing. He's been in the public eye forever, and he ran for president twice. And literally, the guy was found liable for sexual, what was it? It's not sexual assault. What was he found liable for?
Harassment?
I think it was sexual harassment. Yeah.
I have no idea.
He was not found liable for, he wasn't found liable for rape.
Who?
That story was crazy. The Eugene Carroll.
Yeah, Eugene Carroll.
The fact that was even found liable for anything.
So if you're a political campaign and you're at this point, it means you have nothing else to run.
Right.
Right? So what are people checking the box for? The economy, the economy, the economy, right? Was it James Carville's The Economy Stupid?
Yep.
Or, crime, borders, immigration.
Yep.
Right? And then after that, a variety of things. Like even, when they poll abortion, that moves people it's like in the single digits, right?
Yeah.
That's not a primary mover of what people are voting for. They're voting for the fact that everything in their house costs 30-40% more than it did in 2020. So if she's not talking about that in every single situation, it means that their internal polling data is horrific, and all she has left are ad hominem attacks or these kind of bizarre appeals to the most prurient features of her base.
Right.
And none of those bodes well for the person who's using that line of attack.
Well, and she's also got the talking point, and they've had this, in fairness, since the get-go. I'm not Donald Trump, right?
Right.
And
right.
that seems to be what is the epitome of her support, because I don't know anyone that was, Neil, you ran shortly. You have the Charmy. You have people that literally... like myself, that would love to come back and help you anytime possible to run. I don't know these Kamala people. I don't think they really exist. I mean, there's surely some, but usually you can find Bernie Sanders people. You can find the Ron Paulers. There's not the Kamalers. I don't know any Kamalers out there. Let's go get that Rumble Rant.
Let's see. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, $5 Rumble Rant says, adult male has sex with an adult female, bad. Adult male has sex with little boys, good. Yep, that's the Democratic agenda nowadays.
By the way, there's, oh, God, this is, I shouldn't say this as a guy that runs a podcast, but it's almost better everyone just shuts off all news sources for the next 2-3 weeks, because it's going to get bad. I mean, I don't even care what George Santos says.
No one
it's like, why would anyone believe you, George Santos? And he's from the right. And it's like, oh yeah, Walz slept with this kid, and then they come out with this video, and it's like, didn't the kid have like a British or Australian accent? I'm like, bullshit. There's no truth to this story. So you're getting gaslit on the right. And then you're getting clearly gaslit on the left. It's like, what is there to believe? I mean, I guess that's why we have the show called Truth Hurts, is we're going to try to get to the bottom of things. Mark does this too. He really tries to get to the bottom of things. But, try to find the truth and stuff, because you're getting so much garbage out there.
Well...